We're about 24 hours removed from the New York Knicks firing Tom Thibodeau as their head coach, and there are a lot of rumors that we got to break down on today's show. Supposedly, the Knicks are in on Jason Kidd, Ime Udoka. We're going to talk about Jay Wright. We also have a massive update to talk about with Johnnie Bryant and a couple of more head coach candidates that sound like they are going to be in the mix for the New York Knicks. Before we dive into that, though, I want to give a major shout-out to Big Nick Energy. They were the first to count on to Tom Thibodeau being fired. Those are my guys over there, and they just tweeted out moments ago. There's a couple of ways we can do this, and we want to have fun with it. Emergency BKE space coming soon. Give them a follow, show them some love, and I know this. When they drop news or any news drops about the New York Knicks this offseason, we're going to break it down on this channel. So make sure you are subscribed. We put out free videos, multiple free videos every single day, and we are almost at our goal of 77,000 subscribers. If you love the Knicks and you want free videos every day, please hit that subscribe button and be one of the 532 people we need to reach our goal. You're watching Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Let's dive into it, and let's start with the news of the day. Just in, Shams Charania, the Phoenix Suns are hiring Cleveland Cavaliers assistant Jordan Ott as the franchise's next head coach. Why is that relevant? Because it was a two-dog race, and the other contestant to be the next head coach of the Phoenix Suns was Johnnie Bryant. And Johnnie Bryant is the former associate head coach for the New York Knicks. He was in that position for 5 years, and the Johnnie Bryant rumors are officially on fire, and there is gasoline being poured onto it as we speak. I've scoured the internet. I've reached out to people in the know, and I'll just say it. I'm not going to be shocked if Johnnie Bryant ends up being the head coach for the New York Knicks. There's some news out there and some juice out there and smoke that there were people when Bryant was on Tom Thibodeau's bench that wanted to promote him to the head coach a couple of different times. And there's some rumors out there that Johnnie Bryant left the New York Knicks to go coach the Cleveland Cavaliers with the same position because the Knicks gave Tom Thibodeau a contract extension, and maybe he was promised to be the next head coach in waiting. I like Johnnie Bryant as a head coach. I'm a little bit worried because we don't really know who he is as a head coach. He's never been one, and you're walking into the most pressure-filled job in the NBA right now. Tom Thibodeau just got to Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals and lost after getting to the second round 2 years in a row, and it might just be championship or bust type of expectations for the New York Knicks. And I think Johnnie Bryant will have to answer that question if he wants those. Look, I think it will be, I don't know. Right now, I think the lead dog is Johnnie Bryant. But we got other rumors to talk about on today's show, so I'll just ask you, who do you want as the next head coach of our New York Knicks? Could the Knicks look to go a different route by finding their next head coach? Could they look to poach a coach? Reports out there are heating up that the New York Knicks have interest in head coach Ime Udoka of the Houston Rockets and head coach Jason Kidd of the Dallas Mavericks. Both of these men were interviewed to be the Knicks head coach back in 2020. The New York Knicks were interested in Ime Udoka. You talk about the Giants, talk about firing coaches all the time, as well as the New York Knicks. But Jason Kidd supposedly really impressed the New York Knicks in his second interview before they hired Tom Thibodeau to be their guy. Mark Stein, who covers the NBA in totality, has been doing it for years, one of the best in the business. He's really tapped into the Dallas Mavericks, and he says it is expected the Mavs would not grant permission for the New York Knicks to interview Jason Kidd, but a read on their position could not immediately be confirmed Tuesday night when that report officially broke out. And then Kelly Iko, who covers the NBA, saying, regarding reports identifying Ime Udoka as a possible target for the vacant Knicks head coaching position, the Houston Rockets have no interest in entertaining that, a source told The Athletic. Both parties, I take that as Udoka and the Rockets, are committed to the long-term project and are actively preparing for a busy offseason. Look, I'm interested in dating Kim K as well, but if she's not interested in me and she's not available, there's nothing really you could do about it. The Knicks would have to trade for either Jason Kidd or Ime Udoka. And while we haven't seen a lot of trades go down where coaches leave one spot and go to another, We have seen it before, like when Doc Rivers was traded to the Los Angeles Clippers, or Jason Kidd was traded to the Milwaukee Bucks, or when Stan Van Gundy was traded to the Orlando Magic. Could it happen? Absolutely, but I'm a little skeptical of the idea the New York Knicks are going to look to trade for a head coach. One, they don't have all that much to trade. They have 2 or 3 tradable first-round picks at the moment. They do have a handful of second-round picks, but if the Houston Rockets and the Dallas Mavericks want to keep Udoka or Kidd as their head honcho, they're not going to trade him. And all signs point to those teams not being interested in having the New York Knicks sniff around their current head coach. So what's the next move? We continue to hear noise about Jay Wright. Sounded like some noise last night was starting to heat up, and we all know the connections. The Nova Knicks. He was the head coach of Villanova when Jalen Brunson brought that proud university to national championships, and Josh Hart was a part of one of them. Also, Mikal Bridges was on 2 of those teams as well. And this has been a name that has been linked to the New York Knicks ever since Jalen Brunson put pen to paper to join this organization after leaving the Dallas Mavericks in the summer of 2022. But is it possible? Sure. Is it likely? I don't know. Seth Davis saying this: I have been working with Jay Wright on TV for 3 years. Based on every conversation we have had, I would say there is a greater chance that I will be the next Knicks coach than him. The difference is, if they call me, I will say yes. Look, Seth and Jay Wright have spent a lot of time together. I'm sure they've had a lot of conversations, and I think Seth Davis might be the mouthpiece for Jay Wright right here. I don't know if it's going to happen. But you rewind the clock and you go back to 2020, there's a video that has surfaced where Jay Wright was asked, if you can coach any team in the NBA, who would it be? In 2020, he said, the New York Knicks. And that was before Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, and Mikal Bridges joined this team. Look, I'm not closing the I'm not closing the idea, and I'm not closing the door on Jay Wright being the next guy for the New York Knicks, but I doubt it at this point. It comes down to this. Does he want to coach in the NBA? Does he want to coach at all anymore? He's killing it on TV, and there's no pressure being on TV. No one cares if you're right. No one cares if you're wrong. As long as you got a good suit and you can articulate your thoughts in a good way and you can ride off the success of what you did in college, which is one of the best coaches ever, yeah, that's a nice, comfy chair, and you might not want to leave that one. But if there's a team you would do it for, I do think it is the New York Knicks with a bunch of his Nova Wildcats on it. A lot of people have also tried to connect the dots of Michael Malone, the New York native. He was once an assistant coach for the New York Knicks, and he was recently fired by the Denver Nuggets, and we included him on our Tom Thibodeau initial replacements video yesterday. Make sure you check that out. That's why you're subscribed. But Stephen Bondy, who covers the New York Knicks, makes it seem like that's not going to happen. And I've listened to other people talk, and I've reached out to some other people, and it doesn't sound like Michael Malone is going to be that guy. Bondy saying you can forget about Michael Malone as a replacement for Tom Thibodeau. Not going to happen. And kind of what I've gathered as I reached out is Mike Malone, although more of an offensive coach than Tom Thibodeau was, he has Tibbs-like qualities. He's an older head coach. He has older ideas and older beliefs. He will not play his bench as much as maybe the New York Knicks are looking for a coach. Now, he hasn't really showed the ability to develop rookies all that much. He's rough and rugged around the edges. Very similar to Tibbs. And the New York Knicks moved on from Tibbs because he is Tibbs. And I don't know if the Knicks want to rehash that type of coach. And if you can't get along with Nikola Jokic, it's probably not going to look good to other NBA teams. He also didn't get along with the general manager, and that's key in this job because you got to have a good relationship with Leon Rose and Worldwide Wes. What about Coach Hurley, the UConn coach, Dan Hurley? Could he be the next guy? There's been some noise about that, and he's been listed on the betting odds to be the next guy. It doesn't sound like there's going to be much interest from the New York Knicks and Dan Hurley. Maybe there is. Maybe you whittle your list down as you are unable to nail down the coach at the top of your list and you fall on Hurley. But I don't know. He reportedly turned down the Lakers job last year. I view him as a college coach. I don't know if I want him as the coach of the New York Knicks. They could do a lot worse. Let's make that abundantly clear. But I think there's some better options out there, and I don't know if he's a guy that the Knicks are kind of looking for as their next guy. I've heard Mike Brown a lot as well, and he has been in the NBA for a long, long time, dating back to the first stint of LeBron James's career with the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's had some success in this league with the Cavs. He brought that young Kings team to the NBA playoffs. He was the assistant head coach of the Golden State Warriors for a while. I don't think enough people are talking about him. There's some juice around it. I wouldn't be shocked if he's the next guy. And sounds like there's at least some buzz around his name at this moment. We've also heard, are the Knicks going to fire their assistant coaches? Are the new head coach candidates going to be able to assemble their own staff? And could that next head coach be Rick Brunson? No. Please no. If you make Rick Brunson your head coach, you don't have a backbone. Not saying Rick Brunson doesn't deserve it, but I don't want to be the NBA team that has a coach and son on it. We saw that with Doc Rivers and Austin Rivers. You're a joke. We cannot be a joke again. We've also heard some rumors that maybe Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy could be names the New York Knicks try to bring back. I don't think that there's much validity to the Mark Jackson rumors. He hasn't coached in the NBA in 10 years, and neither has Jeff Van Gundy, except this past year he was one of the lead assistants for the Los Angeles Clippers. Maybe they bring back a New York Knicks coaching legend in Jeff Van Gundy, but I'm not so sure that he's going to be all that high on their list. There's been some people that really want that to happen. We'll see. We're just getting started in this head coaching search, and I don't think it's going to be one that gets done rather quickly. I think they're going to take their time. And I also want you to keep your eyes on Mike Budenholzer, the coach that spent time on the San Antonio Spurs. He was the head coach for the Milwaukee Bucks when Giannis won a championship. If Giannis wants him, you go out and get him. You want to know who I want to be the head coach? Whoever Giannis wants to be the head coach for the New York Knicks. And then Kenny Atkinson, for some reason, is another name that we've been hearing. Current head coach for the Cleveland Cavaliers. So just keep your eyes on that. They're not going to rush this. They're going to take their time. They're going to go through the process. I expect there to be multiple rounds of interviews. And Leon Rose is going to make sure that he has a coach in place that he feels gives the Knicks a better chance to win a championship than Tom Thibodeau. Conduct a thorough search. Find the right candidates. And ultimately, I don't care who it is. Just make sure it's the right coach. Because you are betting the championship window on this coach. Jalen Brunson's in his prime. Karl Anthony Towns is in his prime. OG Anunoby is in his prime, as is Bridges, as is Hart. This team is in the championship window. And with the Eastern Conference wide open next year with injuries to top teams like the Boston Celtics, the time to go put a banner in the rafters of MSG is now. And you got to get it right. Make sure you are following me on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram, @MarshallGreen_. Hit me up, and let's go Knicks.